Hello everybody, this is Dovetail Bobbin here, and welcome to another video where I talk about Train Sim World stuff. Yeah, just this past weekend on Sunday, Dovetail did their Spring Direct stream, which I'm actually not sure why it was called the Spring Direct stream when we're still in winter time and spring is still a while off this year. But whatever. Dovetail just did their Dovetail Direct stream where they unveiled a bunch of new add-ons coming to Train Sim World. And, well, mainly new add-ons and some other stuff as well that I was hoping that they would talk about, but they never did for some reason. But whatever, we're going to be talking about all of that in this video. We're going to go over all of the new add-ons that they unveiled, as well as some other stuff that I need to talk about in regards to Train Sim World, and a little bit about myself as well, since this channel is in a bit of a weird spot right now. So, let's get to it. So the first route that was unveiled in the Dovetail Direct stream was the London Overground from Gosfell Oak to Barking Riverside. This route features the Class 710 Aventra, which is a brand new electric multiple unit both in the game and in real life, which I think is pretty cool. Although I don't have that much to say about the route itself though, because I've never really cared all that much for the London Overground. And this route itself is actually pretty short. It's only 13 miles, which makes this one of the shortest routes here in Train Sim World. It's not the shortest, but it's pretty far down there. And this route is basically like a mini urban commuter route where, you know, you drive an electric multiple unit, you do your station stops. There's 13 stations on this route, which I guess is, 13 stations for 13 miles, which is interesting. But otherwise, I don't really have that much to say about this route. I do think that the electric multiple unit they get here is interesting, the Class 710. And, I never drove the London Overground route over back in Train Sim Classic. I will take this one out, though, just to drive the Class 710 because I like my modern trains. But otherwise, this is a route that I just generally don't have all that much interest in. So, it'll probably be a one and done route for me, or a two and done. Let's see how long it takes for me to get bored of doing all these constant stoppages and things. The next route is a cross-border route that goes mostly through Germany, but then goes into Austria for a little bit. This is the Rosenheim to Salzburg line. And this is another route that I really don't have all that much to say about it. We do get a new electric locomotive in the Deutsche Bahn Class 111 electric locomotive, as well as probably some double-stuck coaches as well, although we've already had the double-stuck coaches in this game for a long time. Although this route is 89 kilometers long, which I think translates to about 50 or so miles, or somewhere about that 60 miles, so... And I actually just did a conversion, and 89 kilometers translates to 55 miles, which actually makes it one of the longer routes that we have here in Train Sim World. But even then, the route itself just doesn't really sound all that interesting, to be honest. Like I said, we do get the DB Class 111, but, this wouldn't be the first time that we've had a older style German locomotive that, of course, at first we got the Deutsche Bahn Class 110, and then we got the high-speed Class 106, or whatever that engine's called. So, yeah, it's another older German locomotive, but, meh. And just generally, the route itself isn't really all that interesting, so it'll probably be another one and done or two and done route for me. Although they do advertise that it comes with many, many layers, so depending on how many other trains we can drive on this route, maybe I'll use the opportunity to drive some of the other trains that we have in this game, but overall, it's another route that I will probably get bored with after a pretty short amount of time, but we'll see. Up next, we have a route that I'm actually quite looking forward to. This is the Metrolink San Bernardino line. And this route was actually a bit of a surprise to me because, we already have a Metrolink route in the game, being the Angela Via line. All that route was pretty boring, and overall, I really don't care all that much for the Angela Via line. I do like the F-125 and Hyundai Rotom coaches, but the rest of it's just so dull and boring to drive. But I guess that doesn't really matter now, because here we have another Metrolink route, and it's the San Bernardino line, as I just mentioned. So this route features the MP36PH, which is actually a bit of a surprise to me, because I originally thought this would be a part of a local add-on bundle, because you know how Dovetail did the local add-on bundles for Train Sim World 2, and they made 2 of them for Train Sim World 3. I thought that they were going to do the same thing again for Train Sim World 4, and then the Metrolink, the local add-on for the Angela Via line would have been the Metrolink MP36, because, they already had that in the Caltrain livery, so it wouldn't be too difficult to just reskin it into Metrolink livery. and then put it onto the Antelope line. And now that I think about it, there is a possibility that this train will layer onto the Antelope line. But rather than make that its own local pack, it is instead going to be included here in the Metrolink San Bernardino line. So, yeah. Now, this route is 57 miles long, so it's actually quite a bit shorter than the Antelope line, but apparently it does feature a very different driving experience with a more intense service pattern. So, I hope that's the case, because, hey, that means we'll be able to see more traffic, because on the Antelope line, you hardly see anything at all, because most of that route is single track, so really, you're looking to see one other Metrolink train on your way, and you might also see a Union Pacific freight train, although the Union Pacific freight trains only went north on the Antelope line. So overall, that was a very sparse route, but it does look to me that this route will be more intensive, which is good. More traffic, the more traffic, the better. So yeah. And the other feature of this route that I'm actually quite excited about is the fact that it will link up to the Cajon Pass route. And the reason why I'm actually looking forward to this is because it will basically give you a very long driving experience. It will take you quite a while to drive from Los Angeles to San Bernardino, and then continue over to the Cajon Pass route, and then continue on from San Bernardino, and then go all the way to Barstow. It's going to create for a rather interesting and a rather long journey. In fact, now that this route has been unveiled, I actually already have plans to do a live stream in the future, where I'm going to make my own version of the Amtrak Southwest Chief train, and I'm going to drive that all the way from Los Angeles to Barstow. So we'll start off at Los Angeles, drive up to San Bernardino, then we'll change over to the Cajon Pass route, then drive all the way to Barstow. And in case you're wondering how I'm planning on making that Amtrak Southwest Chief, well, ironically, we do have the F-125 now, which is the closest thing that we have to the ALC 42 Charger locomotives. And the Hyundai Rotom coaches kind of resemble Superliner coaches, so yeah, that's going to be interesting for me to make in the livery editor. So yeah, the live stream will probably happen soon after this route comes out, and overall, yeah, it's a route that I'm actually quite looking forward to, another Metrolink route, which I like Metrolink, and I am looking forward to driving a Metrolink train on a route that's hopefully more fast, less boring, and also has more traffic and stuff to see. Oh yeah, and one more thing that I may as well mention here is that one of the stops here on the San Bernardino line is the Auto Club Speedway. Yeah, we have a NASCAR track here in a Train Sim World route. And I actually checked Google Maps, and the Auto Club Speedway train station is actually really close to the Auto Club Speedway itself. So yeah, I'm actually really looking forward to checking this out and seeing how they actually made Auto Club Speedway here in Train Sim World. Now, of course, I can assume that the Auto Club Speedway track will, of course, be the 2-mile configuration, which is currently being demolished. And, of course, that's to make way for the half-mile short track reconfiguration. But I will assume that this route was in development before that, so we'll still have the 2-mile Auto Club Speedway. So, like I said, I am definitely looking forward to making a stop here at the Auto Club Speedway here this route, and just seeing how Dovetail were able to recreate this racetrack here in Train Sim World. Will they actually have it, have it with a lot of detail and make it super realistic, or are they gonna kind of just cheese it and just like put down some roads or whatever and call it a day? I don't know, but I do at least hope that they do some proper justice to the racetrack, and it will look nice whenever we come to a stop to it, and we can admire what used to be the 2-mile super speedway at the Auto Club Speedway in Fontana, California. Alright, and now we come to another route that I'm very much looking forward to, and that is the Semmeringbahn. And the reason why I'm looking forward to this route is because it's actually a rather diverse route. This route features the OBB 1111116 Taurus locomotive, which is actually a locomotive that I'm a really big fan of. I've driven the Deutsche Bahn 182 version quite a lot. And it is pretty cool seeing it in the OBB livery and as a featured locomotive here on this route. And complementing it is a new coach, which they call the OBB BMZ coach, but apparently this is also known as the Eurofema coach, so yeah, see, this coach is rather interesting. It's also 68 kilometers long, or about 40 or so miles long, so it's not the longest route in the world, but still long enough. But the part that I'm most looking forward to, like I mentioned before, is just how diverse this route is, because half of it is a racetrack, as I like to say, so you get to drive at a pretty high speed. I don't know how fast you'll be able to go on this route, but I assume probably about 160 kilometers per hour. Maybe more or less, but we'll see. And it's also a mountain pass route, so yeah, once you've done some speeding along the high speed section of this route, you then get to slow down a lot more, and then, sort of appreciate the scenery, and drive a bit more slowly while you appreciate the mountain pass scenery and everything. It is in the, I don't know what mountains these are, but yeah, the Austrian mountains of the Semmeringbahn. Yes. So yeah, 2 routes in 1, mountain pass plus a high-speed racetrack. And of course, like I said, includes the torso move, which is again another move that I really like. And I do wonder what other layers they're going to have. They did show that Talent 1 electric multiple unit thing in a couple of the screenshots they shared. And I guess we'll see what other layers they might put on this route. But overall, I am at least looking forward to driving the Taurus and blasting along the line at one part of it, and then driving a bit more slowly to appreciate the mountain scenery and one other part of it. Alright, now on to a couple of third-party routes. First up, we have a route from Rivet Games, who don't have the best track record here in Train Sim World, but we'll see what they do here. And their next route is another Scotland-based route, so yeah, we're going to be driving in Scotland for this one, and it is the Fife Circle Line. Yeah, now this is a route that I'm actually familiar with, semi-familiar with anyway, as this route was a thing over in Train Simulator Classic, released with the rather underwhelming Train Simulator 2021, and overall I don't really care much for this route. But it's a route that I'm at least interested to check out, and I am, keen to see what it would look like when I check out. And apparently this route also has the big red bridge. Oh, hang on. Oh yeah, the 4th rail bridge, which is that big red bridge thingamajig that you may or may not recognize. I don't know if you've seen this bridge before, but there you go. Well, it is going to be featured in Train Sim World for the first time, and yeah, it is going to be developed by Rivet Games. In terms of rolling stock, it's going to come with the Class 170 DMU, which we haven't seen any screenshots of yet, but nice to get a new diesel multiple unit here in Train Sim World, and a diesel multiple unit that I actually kind of like. The Class 170 has a streamlined end, and I've driven it a decent amount over in Train Sim Classic, so I am looking forward to checking this train out in Train Sim World. And apparently they're also going to be collaborating with Skyhook Games to make a ScotRail version of the Class 158. Now, of course, the Class 158 is not a new train to Train Sim World, and was first featured in the Midland Mainline route, or the Mid-Mainline route as I like to call it. But here it is being featured again, now in the ScotRail livery, and there were some reports, apparently, of the ScotRail Class 158 being sold as a separate add-on, rather than included with the Fife Circle line. I'm not sure what they're going to do, but personally, I think that they should just include the Class 158 with the Fife Circle line, considering that, like I said, we've already had the Class 158 previously, which was in the Midland Mainline route, so I think it would make more sense to just include both the Class 158 and the Class 170 here in the Fife Circle line add-on. And to be honest, the omission that kind of annoys me the most is the lack of a Class 68. Yeah, no Class 68 in Train Sim World still. And the Class 68 is actually a locomotive I really like and would have liked to have seen that here in Train Sim World, and this would have been a great opportunity to bring it here into the game. Class 68, modern locomotive, and some Mach 2 coaches as well. Would have been cool to see that in ScotRail livery and featured here in this route as well, but nope, we only have a pair of diesel multiple units to drive for now, so maybe we'll get the Class 68 as a DLC later on down the line, or maybe they'll make another ScotRail route and include that there, but I guess we'll see what happens. And the final route that was unveiled in the Dovetail Direct stream is a route that is based in a country that has been long overdue here in Train Sim World. Yes, we finally have a Japanese route. Yes, we finally, like I said, finally have a Japanese route here in Train Sim World. I mean, we have been waiting quite a long time for a route based somewhere in Asia. We've got lots of routes based in America and Britain and Europe. But now we finally have a Japanese route, a route based in Asia. And I mean, yeah, it's Japan. I mean, Japan is like, everyone knows Japan for its railways, and it's about time that we got a Japanese route here in Train Sim World. And said Japanese route is being developed by Union Workshop, who are well known for their Japanese and Chinese content over in Train Sim Classic, and well, now they're releasing their first Train Sim World product. And it happens to be a remake of the Tadami line. Now, I've never actually driven the Tadami line over in Train Sim Classic, just because I don't really have much of an interest in that route. As far as the workshop routes I have checked out, I have driven the Wakayama line, which of course I use for the iconic Build That Short 37, which of course introduced the blue Japanese train. Let's say, yeah, mother! And I am very much looking forward to making a blue Japanese shirt of some sort here in Train Sim World. Yeah. And on that note, the other Union Workshop route that I've checked out in the past is the Tohoku High Speed Line, which of course comes with the Shinkansen E5 series, as well as another electric multiple unit there. So, yeah, a couple of Union Workshop products that I think are pretty good, and I am definitely looking forward to checking out their first Train Sim World route. Now, it does look to me, though, that this route is still pretty far off from being released, which, yeah, even you can tell by these screenshots that this route is still, you know, I mean, it's still in development, but for the screenshots that we do have, though, you know, it does show off some of the nice aspects of this route. And they actually have yet to confirm the train that will be featured in this route. Now, as far as what type of train it will be, well, we know it's going to be a diesel multiple unit because, of course, this route is unelectrified, so we'll get some sort of Japanese diesel multiple unit. And I'm guessing it will probably be the same one that was included in the Tadame line over in Train Sim Classic. I actually don't know what that diesel multiple unit was called over in TS Classic. But I think it's pretty safe to assume that diesel multiple unit will probably be the one here in Train Sim World. Or maybe they might do a different type of diesel multiple unit, but we will find out eventually. A lot of burps in this video. And since we're on the topic of diesel multiple units, well, another one has been announced for Train Sim World 4. Well, I say it's been announced. I think this one was actually mentioned a while back. But it is the British Rail Class 104 diesel rail car. And this is another one I'm actually kind of looking forward to, because this diesel rail car is going to be made for the Peak Forest route. And, apparently something else that's going to be, part of this thing is that they're also going to be releasing, I guess, some sort of Peak Forest expansion pack, which will feature a timetable upgrade and 2 new wagons. And I guess they also mentioned some sort of extensions, so I don't know, are they going to be extending the Peak Forest route or something? Or is this going to be new timetable with a couple new wagons or whatever? I don't really know. But, like I said, the Class 104 diesel rail car has been confirmed. And the reason why I'm actually looking forward to this one is because, one thing worth mentioning about both the Spirit of Steam Crew to Liverpool and the Peak Forest routes is that they only feature, like, exclusively steam engines, okay? There are no, like, diesel trains that layer onto these routes, so it gets a little bit samey just seeing steam engines without any diesel engines roaming around, especially considering that these two routes both take place right, like, towards the end of the Steam era. Like Crew to Liverpool was based in, like, the late 1950s, whereas Peak Force was based in the early 60s. So this was right about the time that British Rail was going through the modernization plan, and they were phasing out steam engines and bringing diesel trains. So this is kind of weird, just only seeing steam on these routes. So it is nice that now we're going to see a diesel rail car run alongside these steam engines, so it'll add some variety to the rail scene. So we won't have just steam engines driving around. We'll also have diesel trains. And as well, you know, the BR Class 104 is a little bit different from the Class 101, and I think that's the only other classic British Rail diesel rail car that we actually have here in this game. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the Class 104, and I'll definitely check it out when it comes out, as well as do some more driving on the Peak Forest route, because I haven't actually done that much driving on that route, just because the steam engines in this game are just so weak. But yeah, diesel rail car, looking forward to it. Alright, and the final new pack that was announced here in this Dovetail Direct was a gameplay pack. Apparently Skyhook Games are making a aggregates pack of some sort for, I think, the Midland Main Line or some other British route. I don't remember which one. But yeah, they're releasing yet another gameplay pack, and I have to talk about gameplay packs for a little bit here, because this is a recurring trend I've noticed with Train Sim Worlds of late, where, okay, so one thing that's been happening lately is that they've been releasing these things called gameplay packs. And what a gameplay pack is that it's basically that. It's really, all you get in these gameplay packs is maybe a new wagon, and then a locomotive in a new livery. Like, we got the Class 323 in some regional rail livery, and we also got a Class 66 in a Ocean 1 paint livery with some tanker cars or whatever. And I believe River Games also made a gameplay pack for their Rosa line as well, which only featured one new wagon and a couple of new reskins for the, for whatever that electric locomotive's called. And that's basically it. It basically, you know, it gives you some new scenarios to play, a new wagon, or maybe sometimes not even a new wagon. It's just, they're just reskins of stuff we already had before. And that's kind of it. And, you know, I wouldn't necessarily be so upset at the concept of the gameplay pack if they weren't so expensive. I mean, they charge these at like $10 or so, which, you know, the price is, it's just too high. It should really be something like $2 or $3, or like it should be a heck of a lot cheaper, or it should really cost anything at all. Actually, it should really be more of a free thing, like something that you can download, and extend your play value on a certain route. But yeah, and now yet another gameplay pack, of course, been announced, which is the aggregates pack. And that being said, I can guess that they'll probably make some more gameplay packs going into the future. Yeah, but overall, I think they should honestly just stop with the gameplay packs, though, because the gameplay packs are just silly. Or at the very least, they should bring down the price on them by a lot, or just make them free, or maybe even just bundle them as part of the route that they're supposed to be for, and then I'll be much happier. But for right now, I don't like them. Alright, so that was all of the new add-on announcements for Train Sim World in the Dovetail Direct stream. But there are a couple of things that I want to touch on, just because these things were also mentioned as part of the Dovetail Direct in the February roadmap. And these are just some other things I want to just give my opinion on real quick, just because I want to. So, first thing I want to talk about is a new feature that was just added to Train Sim World, and a feature that I actually really like, and that is the Formation Designer. And this is another long overdue feature that I feel like should have been right there from the start, but whatever, classic Dovetail adding things later on. But yeah, the Formation Designer has just recently been added to Train Sim World, and the Formation Designer is pretty simple. It basically just allows you to make your own custom consists here in Train Sim World. So if there's like a set of rolling stock, or even a custom livery or something you want to make, or whatever, blah blah blah, you can now make your own custom consist, which I think is really cool. You don't have to put everything down in free roam and then do some shunting to put the whole train together and then just drive for a little bit. Nope, now you can just make your custom consist right in the menu, and then you can spawn it in free roam, or even use it in the scenario planner. So I think this is a rare Dovetail W, a great new feature. Long overdue, but better late than never. I've actually already done some testing with the Formation Designer myself, and I've made a couple of custom consists, and I'll probably make a bunch more custom consists later on down the line, just because, like I said, I think this is a really cool feature, and I'm glad that it's finally here. Another thing that was released not too long ago is a remaster of the West Somerset Railway, and this is a route that I've kind of been wanting to check out, but never really did beforehand because I was just never really interested in it. But it has now since been remastered with the new lighting effects. I think even the route itself has seen some touch-ups as a part of this new update. And of course, we also get a brand new timetable, which is the Steam Gala, which is something that I feel like should have been there sooner, because I remember way back when the West Somerset Railway was first announced for Train Sim World, but there were only diesel trains I could drive, and I was like, hang on, it's the West Somerset Railway, and I've always thought the West Somerset Railway to be like this steam preservation railway, because I mean that's basically what it is. The West Somerset Railway is, I think, the only preservation route that we actually have here in Train Sim World. You have all these other routes which are based in modern times, or routes that are based like in the past, but the most like it's still in like revenue service. This is really the only preservation route where you can drive older rolling stock in the present day, and it doesn't look silly, because it's a preservation line. We're preserving older rail traction. So I am very glad to see the West Somerset Railway get updated, and now we can actually drive these steam engines in timetable. All four of them that we have. I've already done a couple of services myself. I drove the Flower 4F on this route just because I never was really able to drive that route or drive that engine beforehand, just because there wasn't really a route that I liked that I could drive it on. And I know there's also Peak Forest, but that's really more of a shunting engine on that route. And it was pretty fun to drive it on like a actual service thing. Suppose we also had some help from the 8F Sandier to give some extra power. And I also drove the Jubilee in the black LMS livery on this route. Actually, no, I think it was the maroon livery, actually, but one of the liveries that you could get in the West Cornwall Steam Special thingamajig. That was pretty cool. And overall, I do think this is a much more interesting route than it used to be, now that we can drive steam engines, and yeah, it's basically a cool little preservation route. Another thing that was fixed as part of this winter core update, I guess they call it, is mods. Yeah, now, mods, of course, have been a thing for Train Sim World for quite a long time now, although, of course, by mods I mean stuff like, sound or skin enhancements or whatever. And I typically like to get these mods if there's a particular thing that I'm interested in, just because I think it could be better. For example, the Nimtrigacella Express, its default horn is really bad. So I am glad that there's a mod for that, and also the New Jersey Transit Enhancement Pack is a thing as well. But unfortunately, going into Train Sim World, mods just didn't work. Like, I would put these mod pack files into the file directory, and then the changes file just didn't show up in the menu, so I was like, oh, that's unfortunate. But thankfully, as part of this new update, mods have now been fixed, so now you can drive with mods once again here. And speaking of Northeast Corridor enhancement mods, Joseph Crank, who you might be familiar with if you're in the Northeast Corridor side of things, has a couple enhancement packs in the work for all the other Northeast Corridor equipment. You know, the Acela, AC64, and the MBTA stock as well. So I'm definitely looking forward to whenever those come out. And yeah, I'm just glad that mods are functional again. Alright, next thing I want to talk about is the list of developers that they're working with, because as a part of the roadmap, they actually had a list of all the developers that they're working with. And there's a few interesting ones I wanted to point out in this video. So the first one is SimTrack, and they're actually the ones developing the British Rail Class 104 diesel rail car. And SimTrack, they are a new developer that have just come onto the scene. Their first ever add-on was the Regional Rail Class 323 gameplay pack, although, come on, really, yeah, of course they made a gameplay pack as their first ever thing, because, yeah, you know. But of course they're also making the Class 104, and, yeah, SimTrack, new developer, so I guess we'll see what other type of content they make going into the future. Another developer I want to point out is Alan Thompson Sim, and Alan Thompson, this is someone I've actually known about for quite a long time, actually. Around 2018 was when they first came onto the scene, when they had their website, and which resulted in a bunch of drama. If any of you have watched the later episodes of the Train Sim News show made by Maverick Hunter Daniel, he actually talked about a lot of the nonsense to do with Alan Thompson Sim. You know, he did a whole video on them in about 2018. I think he did another one like either 2019 or 2020 or something about someone else who was being a little bit fishy in the Alan Thompson community. And then in his most recent in his big finale episode of the Train Sim News, which is the Top 10 Stupid Nonsense, he had another whole bit with Alan Thompson and even some of the more recent antics that Alan Thompson got up to. So, Alan Thompson Sim, not the cleanest developers here in Train Sim, or in the Train Simulator community, and it looks to me they're now making a Train Sim World route, so, which kind of weird to me, because Alan Thompson Sim have never really made, like, a route for Train Sim Classic, I don't think, or I think they have, but it's a little bit weird. Although one route that I do actually like from Alan Thompson Sim is the East Coast Mainline in its entirety route, which is a merger of all 4 of the East Coast Mainline routes that we have here in Train Sim Classic to make the complete route all the way from London King's Cross to Edinburgh Waverley. That's a route that I actually quite like. All that say that I've never actually driven that route just because it's so long, but I do plan on driving that route at some point in its entirety. That's really the only Alan Thompson Sim product I've actually sort of checked out. Otherwise, yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of them because of their antics over the years. And from what it looks like, from what Dovetail mentioned on their roadmaps, Alan Thompson are going to be making a route for Train Sim World, which will probably be British, because, you know, of course it is. But I guess whenever the route is announced and releases, I'll check it out, see how Alan Thompson have done their first Train Sim World route, and we'll see what happens there. And the next developer that I want to mention is thankfully one with a cleaner record, and that is Rizlo. And Rizlo, they've been sort of taking over the third-party scene on the Steam front in Train Simulator Classic. And Rizlo made a number of Austrian route as well as German routes. And I guess now Rizlo has also joined the third-party developer scene and will be making probably some sort of Austrian route for Train Sim World. What that route is, we have no idea, but I guess we'll find out whenever it's announced. And then there were also some developers in the list that I had actually never heard of. So these developers are Luminaries, Rail Traction, Train Motion, Ticket to the North, and Howlycon Media. Now, I have never heard of these developers. I have no idea who these people are. I guess maybe they jumped on the bandwagon after the editor was released. But yeah, 5 more developers as well have joined the fold, so I guess we'll just see what they can come up with. Hopefully some decent quality stuff at the very least, and also maybe some routes of which they've never really had before. But yeah, I guess we'll see what these add-ons are whenever those are ready as well. So yeah, I guess we got a lot of people now joining the Train Sim World bandwagon and creating content for it. And I guess we'll just see what this content is whenever it's revealed, and yeah. Okay, so that was everything. Everything that was announced in the Dovetail Direct stream, as well as everything that was talked about in the February roadmap. So now we're going to talk about some stuff that wasn't on the Dovetail Direct stream, as well as, one of these things was only briefly mentioned in the roadmap, and as well as a couple of things that I want to touch on. So first up is a rumored route based in the United States, which is the Long Island Railroad extension. Now I say extension, we don't really know what this is, but apparently some people on the forums were able to spot some achievements that hinted at something to do with the Long Island Railroad route. Now, as for what this is, we have no idea. But the word is that apparently this route might be getting an extension, which I do think this route definitely needs, because the route itself isn't, it does have its branches here and there, but I think it could do with some extensions beyond Hicksville, as well as a bit of a remaster with the new lighting effects, and also just generally a much more busy timetable, because the timetable in the Long Island Railroad route could definitely be a lot more busier, so it will be interesting to see what they've got cooking for this route. Now, Dovetail didn't officially announce it, but they did put out a statement saying, "We do have another US route currently in the works, which is well into development, currently in the no release date category. We're still working with the licensor on approvals, and when we have them, we'll share more details with you." So yeah, that's all the Dovetail have said in regards to this Long Island Railroad extension, remaster, whatever it's going to be. And this was actually the thing I was actually looking forward to the most. Like going into this Dovetail Direct, just because, I'm a Northeastern Rail fan. I like Long Island Railroad, having just ridden on it last summer as a part of my New York trip, and I actually got pretty excited when I heard that apparently they were going to do some sort of extension with this route or something, but unfortunately no announcements here, or at least nothing official from Dovetail, so I guess we'll have to wait a little bit longer to see what they do here. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the Train Sim World editor, and I have to talk about it because there really hasn't been all that much said about it over these past few months. Now, in terms of editor stuff that they have talked about, they have mentioned they're working on 3 big fixes, which I think absolutely need to happen. The first is a issue where content disappears from the menu. Like if you make a new plugin or try to make a new route, if the editor crashes, then it disappears from like the menu in the editor itself. It's still there in the files, but for some reason the editor has trouble rediscovering it, and it's basically as if it got deleted. So that's something that I guess they're working to fix. So basically, if the editor cracks for some reason, they can just reload it and they can continue on with building your route as you were before. And another thing that needs to be fixed with the editor is the ability to basically package up files, because for some dumb reason, they released the editor without the ability to pack stuff up and then test it in the game itself. Like, you could make a route or a train or something, but then you have to sort of, jump through hoops to package it up and make it work with the game. Some people have been successful with this. I guess some sort of like code thing, and I think someone's even made some sort of plugin for the editor to sort of pack stuff up. But I'm waiting on Dovetail to add this feature, as like an official thing in the editor, so we'll be able to pack stuff up and then test out in the game and then publish it to the world. And I think there was one more thing that they were working on fixing as well, which I can't remember what it was, but they mentioned it most recently in the December roadmap, so you can check that out for yourself. But the 2 biggest things that I want to see fixed, like I said, is the route or the rediscovery issue thing where it disappears, as well as the addition of the ability to pack stuff up so we can then run it in the game and play with it there. And just generally, I also want to see more bug fixes come to the editor, and they did actually release an update for it after a while, which fixed a bunch of crash issues, but we'll see what else they can do. Now that being said, I haven't actually touched the editor at all, really, ever since a couple weeks after it came out, just because it's a pile of junk still. I don't really want to use it anymore until they implement their issues and fix it. So, but as for when those fixes are coming, we don't really know. They did put it into the 4 to 6 months thing, so we might still be waiting until a couple months until they release the fixes. But yeah, I really hope it comes soon, because this Train Sim editor is a big deal, because, I guess a bunch of other developers have already jumped on board and are using the editor to make stuff, but the editor is still very broken. There's a lot of problems with it, so I'd like to see it get fixed up, so this way even more people could jump on board, and even, people like me who don't really have much experience with the Unreal editor can, come in here and mix up for this game. Like I mentioned in my Train Sim World 4 video from last year, I said, I want to make I want to make some routes and some trains, stuff like that. I want to make some of my own content for Train Sim World, but I can't yet because the editor sucks. So I've been waiting on Dovetail to release their fixes and get this editor into a state to where it's a lot more usable, so I can then make some content for this game, because I haven't really been able to make anything so far. I mean, I made one test route, and I was actually almost finished with it, and then and then the editor crashed, and I wasn't able to rediscover it. So after that, I was like, yeah, nah, stuff that I'm just gonna wait until whatever the fixes come. But looks like we'll still be waiting a little while longer for that. And speaking of fixes, I also want to talk about Train Simulator Classic, because now this is something else that I was also interested in going to Dovetail Direct, because like when they announced the Dovetail Direct stream like last week, they did say that they were going to be talking about some stuff to do with Train Simulator Classic. And when I first heard this, I thought that they were going to be talking about a multitude of things, because one thing that they've been working on now with Train Simulator Classic for quite a while now is fixes, basically, and by fix I mean stability updates, because last year in April they released, I guess, their next core update, which was supposed to be, I guess, a beta type of thing, where they would bring in a bunch of fixes that they were doing, because I remember back in late 2022, actually, I think it was late 2022, they first mentioned that they were working on a bunch of core updates to Train Simulator Classic to make this game run better on modern hardware. Because, even now, even to this day, Train Simulator Classic is so badly optimized when running it on modern computer. Like, I'm running this game on a, super high-powered machine with a NVIDIA 390X whatever graphics card, as well as a AMD Ryzen 9 CPU, which I've got some very, very beefy equipment, some of the beefiest that exists in the whole computer market. And yet Train Simulator Classic still runs like poo. You still get a lot of frame drops whenever you're in densely populated areas, or the game crashes a lot just because it just can't handle itself. And these updates that they've been doing to it are supposed to get this game to run more smoothly on modern hardware, so it doesn't crash so much, runs better, better frame rate, and they've even gone as far as to update this game to run on DirectX 12, which is, I guess, the most recent DirectX engine, that is used to run Train Sim and stuff. Now, of course, the first of these updates was released last year, back in April, and I was not very impressed. Like, the 64-bit version still runs as badly as it always has. Like, it still crashes, now and again. And I have heard some people say that does run a lot more smoother now ever since the update, but at least in my experience, it's exactly the same. And I also tried out the DirectX 12 experimental version, and for some reason the frame rate in that one is horrible. Like, I only get about 20, well, I say 20. I think it's even less than 15 frames per second. Actually, like, the frame rate is just really bad in the DirectX 12 thing. So I've done nothing with that. Like, I haven't touched it, or I mean, I did touch it once and then never touched it again, just because the DirectX 12 is just so bad. So I've really just been playing with the 64-bit version for the longest time, and even that version still has its issues. So one of the things that I was actually really looking forward to in this Direct stream was that I was hoping that they were going to have some more updates on some more details on the stability updates. And there was nothing. Not a single peep. No mentions. Nothing. Nothing to do with the stability updates coming to Train Sim Classic. It's just, yeah. And another thing that I was surprised that wasn't mentioned was no new Dovetail content. Because one thing that I've noticed with Train Sim Classic is that Dovetail have not released a single new product for this game in almost a year. Like, I think they're like Dovetail's most recent route that they made for Train Simulator Classic was that Pangzobon route, whatever, the one with the 612 diesel multiple unit. I believe that was the last ever time that Dovetail actually released a new product for Train Simulator Classic. And then they did the update back in April, and it's all been third-party stuff since. And ironically, that's what they actually talked about in the Dovetail Direct stream. Like, all of the new stuff that was coming to Train Simulator Classic was all third-party stuff. Like, there was nothing from Dovetail, no new stability. It was literally just a list of third-party releases that are coming to Train Simulator Classic, which I don't really care for any of them. Although that 10DC route does look kind of interesting with that new duplex look, but otherwise, I don't really care for any of the new stuff that they announced in the Dovetail Direct stream. I was honestly more interested to hear, like, what stability updates were they gonna do for Train Sim Classic, and if they were gonna announce any new content from Dovetail themselves. Because I was thinking to myself, like, what are they gonna do for this year's route refresh thing? Because last year they did the Long Island Railroad, that British route, and then the German route, whatever those are called. And typically these route refresh thingamajigs that they do are like Dovetail routes that they released within the last year. But there's been nothing, so I'm starting to wonder, like, are they even going to do a route refresh this year, or is it all going to be stability updates from now on? Now, of course, I don't really mind that, because, honestly, like, we already have so much content in this game that Dovetail don't really need to release anything more. I would honestly rather just have stability updates from now on to get this game, running better on modern-day hardware, so at least this game will be more suited for, machines going into the future, but, yeah. Overall, I'm rather disappointed in the Train Sim Classic stuff that they talked about in the Dovetail Direct stream, just because it's a bunch of third-party stuff that I don't really care about, and there was nothing mentioned on the stability updates, nor was there any Dovetail products, which is going to hint at whatever they can do for the route refresh that they would do this year. And right now, I'm starting to think that they may not even do a route refresh this year. So, yeah, which again, I don't really mind, and just make the game not roll like poo, please, okay? Just fix the crash issues and make this game actually run decent, okay? That's all I ask. Alright, so this video is getting quite long now, so I'm just going to just briefly go over these next two things I want to talk about. First thing I want to talk about is, I guess, the state of, like, train simulation of where we're at right now. And I'm going to be honest with you, my thoughts on Train Sim World, from what I mentioned in the video I made last year, really hasn't changed at all. I really don't have any hope for Train Sim World. Considering some of the routes that they've released and things, and just generally the products and other things. It's just been kind of a status quo for Dovetail at this point, and overall, I honestly don't think that Train Sim World has a good future for right now. I honestly, like, with the direction that Dovetail are still going in right now, I do think that bankruptcy is imminent, and there will come a point in time when Dovetail will finally close its doors for good. And I hate to say that, but at the same time, with just their business practices and everything, it's just, yeah, especially, with SimRail as well. SimRail actually had their own little roadmap that they actually came up with about a month ago. And apparently the train editor and the scenario editing tools aren't too far off now. And I don't think the route editor will be too far. I mean, okay, I think the route editor for SimRail is still pretty far off. Probably will come out at some point towards the end of the year or maybe early next year. We'll see what happens, though, depending on how quickly they're able to, pace along with their, with what they're working on, for SimRail. And, to be honest, my excitement is with that game right now. Like, I'm honestly more excited to see what the future of SimRail is going to be, because that's basically going to be the thing that probably kills off Dovetail for good, and that'll be the end of that. And one last thing, I'll give you a little update here on the channel itself. I was gonna talk more in detail about this, but like I said, this video is getting so long now, so I'm gonna make this part brief. Content on this channel has been a little bit sparse this year, and I was actually planning on resuming with Wednesday content and Train of ATS and other stuff as part of the Wednesday release slot here on this channel. But the reason why I haven't been able to resume with that yet is because the Wi-Fi issues that I mentioned back in the live streams I did back in December, those issues still haven't been fixed. We're still having Wi-Fi problems, and it's been a slow process to sort of get everything done and fixed. And we also just had a big snowstorm here, so yeah, it looks like it's gonna be held up for a little bit longer. I'm gonna try to work with my mom to get the Wi-Fi issues fixed as soon as we can, so I can get back to doing more content. Because I have a couple of live streams planned. There's one last thing I want to do on Train Simulator, which is, I guess I might as well say this. I want to do a live stream driving the new AM7 that recently released, the one made by Repo. And I also have a Train of ATS one live stream planned, which I'll be playing a very long scenario. But I'm waiting on the Wi-Fi issues to get fixed so I can then do those streams and then sort of resume with my Wednesday content as normal. But as for when that's going to happen, unfortunately, I don't really know right now. I'm going to try my best to get the Wi-Fi issues fixed before the end of the month. Maybe start off with something in March, but for right now, I don't really know. Now that being said, of course, I will still be able to do trains content, as well as stuff like this, and maybe some other content and things here and there. I do have the, I did film my time at the Springfield Train Show over in Springfield, Massachusetts, and I'm not sure when that video will come out, but we'll see. But for now, that's kind of where I'm at with with my channel. Like I said, I'm gonna try my best to get the Wi-Fi issues fixed so I can get back to, my normal content schedule, and we'll see what happens from there. And that is everything. That's all the stuff I wanted to talk about in regards to the Dovetail Direct stream. I know I originally said that I didn't have that much to say about it, but I guess I said a lot more about it than I initially planned to. And I guess this is gonna wind up being a pretty long video. I was actually planning on having this video go out on Wednesday, but I might have to spend an extra day working on this video just because of how long it's gonna be. So yeah, if this video comes out on Thursday, then well, sausages. But that's it for now. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you in whatever I make next.